So Sucrose is getting a buff next update. Why? I don't know. Like, actually, this character is more relevant than she's ever been. And they're like, yeah, let's buff her. No reason. Also, I would like to point out, funny thing that other people have pointed out is that they didn't want to give Kazuha for the Temper Flames, but they'll buff Sucrose? Are you serious? Like, what? That makes no sense. Yeah, no free set Kazuha. Kazuha, no, you can't have them for free, even though at this point I would say Sucrose is better than Kazuha, because if you're gonna use Kazuha, Sucrose provides more now with an EM buff, and then also, because EM is now more important, and Kazuha, most of the time, you just go ahead and use Shield on him, because it's way easier to use her, and you get a full duration. That is the one thing that Sucrose kind of sucks with, is that she doesn't got a full, like, duration. So, let's go ahead, show off this, you know, feel free to subscribe while we're doing it, and Flins, let's go. What, like 300,000 on his second hit? I didn't see the first hit because he was in the air. But yeah, 500,000 easily on all of these, and yeah, not bad. Wow, Flins did over 2.5 million there. Yep. All right. Sure. Well, I say over 2.5 million. He probably did some, like, the Capybara probably did some damage to himself. Reason for that being is because we were throwing him around like a hot pancake or whatever. But yeah. Ooh, that wasn't even with the Wandering Evenstar. Wandering Evenstar I found to be a good weapon for Sucrose. It's how I won against Dire this Stygian. Instead of using Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers, I went ahead and used Wandering Evenstar. Getting the buff across the board just seemed to work better. I don't know whether it was, or maybe I did, you know, change my Flins build around a little bit. A little less crit rate, more crit damage, basically. But now, he's on a build where he'll be near 100%. Maybe. Eventually, he'll be at 100%. That's another thing we could talk about. Jehoda, she's gonna be in Sucrose's slot. So, you know, it's important to know, Sucrose, in order to access her new buffs, she's going to need, you know, these, like, new Hexenzirkel characters, which is basically just Durin and hopefully the other ones that may be good. We can go over with Fischl also and talk about her. But, you know, we saw Flins there. Insane damage, you know. I guess one thing we should do is maybe look at it without Sucrose. So a character, I guess, who would be the character for it would be Shieldon, right? You know, we'll get the Res Shred, we'll get healing. Other than that, we're losing quite a bit from Sucrose, but I don't know who else I would use here instead of Sucrose, just because Sucrose is, you know, the go-to for this team, because she is really good. And yeah, again, she's really good right now, and she's gonna get buffed. So yeah, you could see the massive damage fall off there. You know, 200. Okay. Apparently not. I mean, that's interesting. Definitely interesting. I guess, to be fair though, didn't have Wandering Evenstar, right? Let's go ahead, add Sucrose back to the team. That makes no sense to me. Yeah, we'll go ahead and add Sucrose back to this team. We have Wandering Evenstar. We'll have the whole thing go on, and we'll win. You know, I think last time when I was using Sucrose with Wandering Evenstar, my Flins was hitting like 330,000 on that last hit. So let's go ahead and showcase that off, you know? Yeah, right? Okay, there we go, 330. So, like, there is a damage fall off. Honestly, thought it would be more. Chat, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what it is. I can't, for some reason, get Sucrose to last for the entire duration of that. Did I use Shieldon in my Dire run? No, we're not gonna derail this video. That is really annoying now. I thought it would be a lot worse. Okay, I did use Shieldon in my Dire run. I used her for Mephlika. Okay. But, okay, let's talk about that. Yeah, I have really bad luck, skill, whatever you want to say with Sucrose. For the life of me, I can't get her to last long enough on all of the Flins' 3 charges, or like his 3 bursts. I can't. I don't know why. I've tried so many times. Her buffs just start to go away, right? We have this buff that'll go away, and then we also have this buff that'll go away. Big thing with Sucrose, all of these buffs are 8 seconds, right? 8-second buffs. You know, that seems like they would last throughout Flins' thing, because if we come over here, his skill cooldown, well, that's wrong. Right? That's wrong? Yeah, it's like 4 seconds, right? So 4 seconds, 4 seconds. We switch into Flins immediately. It's, you know, then 4-second cooldown. I should still have 4 seconds to play with for Sucrose's buffs. for the life of me, I can't. I just cannot get Flins to get those final Sucrose buffs, you know. And then we can also talk about 10 seconds for Viridescent. So one thing I hope they change with her, you know, skill set is that they allow this to be longer. 12 seconds. That's all I'm asking for. Will they? I don't know. I really don't know. We'll have to see the broader spectrum of what these characters are going to look like. But, you know, I imagine Sucrose is going to look good. Like, there's not really much else you can say. But Sucrose, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how she ages. So let's go ahead and let's switch to a Mualani team, which is another character that Sucrose is, like, amazing with. You know, Mualani's gonna get buff, and we'll see how much Durin may help with that. Durin may be a part of that, I guess. Main thing I'll say with, you know, Durin is that, you know, there's, you know, reasons to think that he could be good with Mavuika. There's reason to think that he can't, right? Or not Mavuika, but, Mualani, right? Because Durin is here to buff the, you know, damage that, you know, Mualani can do, right? So with Mualani, we'll go ahead and switch back to Sacrificial Fragments because that's going to give her more EM. Sucrose won't last till the last one on Mualani. And, you know, that's just expected because we're using Mavuika last, right? That's the whole sort of issue. And one thing I can hope with Durin is that if he replaces Mavuika here, or at least is a good replacement for Mavuika, I'm hoping to maybe not have to do any, you know, special combo afterwards with my Mualani. Because, yeah, 670,000, really nice. And then 460, yeah, and 280. Yeah, as you can see there, that's Sucrose's buffs falling off, right? You can actually see how much damage we lose when we don't use Sucrose. We'll even go ahead and we'll do a full run without Sucrose, just so you guys can see the extent to which, you know, Sucrose matters and how much damage she's giving Mualani, right? So we'll not use Sucrose here. We'll just go ahead here and here. Full, you know, thing. There you go. Okay, let's pop this. Okay, boom, boom. And 350. So Sucrose is practically doubling Mualani's damage, right? And yeah, as you see there, obviously all above 300,000 because we're not in danger of losing any buffs, right? There's no, you know, oh, we might, you know, lose the buffs here. No. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good overall. I just, there's not really much else to say. Do I have an EM Sandstorm? I don't. No, is that Sucrose? It might be Sucrose. Hold on. Let's weigh it up. 257 EM on my Mualani and then 177. So actually, let me go ahead quickly because that, I think, was, I think we should be getting more. I'll put it that way. Let's hit him with an E skill, and then we can go ahead here. Look, are you okay? You had 1,000 elemental mastery earlier, and now you don't? All right. 357 elemental mastery. So we gain basically like 100 and something, like a good chunk of elemental mastery. So 177 to 357. So we gain like 180 elemental mastery from Sucrose. Just an insane, you know, multiplier to just add to your character, right? Because Sucrose, I mean, keep in mind, elemental mastery is a multiplicative thing. Like, genuinely, you know, we go over here. It's kind of, you know, oh yeah, you're just gonna get, you know, extra damage on your multiplier, which is why she works so well, like Sucrose works so well with someone like Flins. Because if you don't know, Flins technically does scale off of EM. Even though you look over here and you're like, oh, well, what? Look at all this stuff. Because he's doing lunar reaction damage, he does actually get the buff from getting EM, right? So having EM on, you know, Flins does help him do damage, right? Which is why Sucrose works very well with him. And I'll be interested to see how buff Sucrose works because, you know, and maybe not so much, but, you know, from what I've seen, you know, with the way that Jehoda has to, you know, go ahead and, you know, run around with her E skill, not really something I'm looking at and be like, oh yeah, that's gonna be good, right? I don't... little skeptical because of how she works, but I am also really excited because if she does work for Flins, I mean, at least for Flins, then, you know, that gives me, you know, a better teammate than Sucrose for my Flins because, again, don't know what it is. I've had other people tell me they don't have an issue getting Flins' last burst to hit with Sucrose. I can't. I just can't. What would be really nice is if we could see individually what kind of buffs are on the enemy, what kind of debuffs are on the enemy. I guess the easiest way to see would be to do this, actually. So this way we can see. So yeah, you see like 200,000, 140 to 200,000. So yeah, it has to be Sucrose's buffs because that's the kind of numbers that we see when Sucrose starts, you know, running out of her buffs. So Yeah, I don't really know what to say. This just kind of sucks. It kind of sucks for me. I don't know why, but for me, Sucrose is just a no-go on that last, Flins hit, which really, really hampers her damage. And today we found out that Shieldin is actually better because it's actually not nearly as big of a decrease as I thought it was. Like, I really did think that it would be different, but no. It's not. Like, Shieldin comes in and she can actually work it out. And because I have C2 Shieldin can give us some energy restore. So, okay. Oh, okay. Sure. I wasn't. Oh, that sucks so bad. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.